Greg Medford from Medford Knife and MKT USA. What's going on? So I wanted to talk for a minute about hollow grind versus flat grind, how that plays out here in the factory, the Shactory. There's kind of like always this debate going on with everybody. It's like the 45 and 9mm debate that went on for decades and decades. Flat versus hollow, which is more appropriate. And honestly, I find it makes... So let's say you're hand grinding all your blades, okay? Which we've done for years now. You've got some reason you decide to either flat grind or hollow grind. People forget, when I originally made all of my original knives, they were all flat ground because that's all I knew how to do. I had never hollow ground until a guy named Huck Planis, who used to be friends with Gil Hibben and roommate. Well, he's friends and used to be roommates with Gil Hibben. He learned how to hollow grind with Gil. And then he was my Kempo instructor for many years and good friend. And when he was at my house, he stopped by one of my first Shactory and kind of showed me how to hollow grind. So it all seems administrative now because there's all these videos on how to do everything. When I first started doing this, I was doing the how-to videos. And there wasn't a lot of how-to hollow grind knives at the time. Anyway, I'm sure they were out there, but I wasn't doing that. I was just making it up as I went along. So everybody kind of comes up with their reason why they do certain things. The reason why I did hollow grinding, I'll tell you right now, it was faster and it was easier than flat grinding. That's it. It was faster and it was easier. I originally made all of my knives as tactical knives to have a little bit more metal rather than the two concave sides of a knife meeting each other. I wanted to have two flat sides meeting one another, which gives you a little bit more metal. It's a little more stout blade. But freehand wise, it means you grind it down to a much smaller edge. And there was just things about it. I was doing my own heat treating, and you slam all of that stuff together and you kind of arrive like, well, I'm going to do hollow for this part. I'll do flat for that. If I do flat for this, it's going to cause me problems here. So you're kind of taking the path of least resistance a lot of times, okay? Then what happened is, as time went by, and then if you got to go back through and grind a knife 3 or 4 times, I didn't want to do that either because every time you touch it, it's another chance to fuck it up. So that drives your motivation. There's all these different things kind of pulling at us, you know what I mean? So I originally did combinations of flats and hollows. I did a lot of hollow because I could do it really fast. If you grind both, you'll know. If you're doing non-fixture, non-guided grinding, hollow grinding it's a little easier. It's faster than flat grinding. If you're using a platen or using a fixture, well, then you can flat grind or hollow grind. It doesn't make too much of a difference, especially with some of the new tools they have that have full motion backs on the flat instead of just the platen getting worn by the belt. And that was the other thing. If you're working on a traditional setup the way I did before they had a dynamic flat grinding fixture, if you will, for a Burr-King grinder, as you're pushing on that abrasive belt, it's wearing on that flat platen, creating little bumps. So then as you go to finer grits, all those little bumps are coming through in your finish, and you'll want to kill yourself after you do it for a while. So what many makers do is they say, oh, okay, well, I don't do full polish. I'm not making collector knives. I'm only going to go this far because it has some of these micro inconsistencies, and I don't want to have to deal with those. Now, everybody deals with everything in knife making is a trade-off. So when I plunked down $500,000 for a couple of Burger flat grinders, basically, when I bring, let's say 200 knives in a run, it's very typical for me to do about 100 or 200 knives in a run. That's not production. That's very, very low volume knife making, okay? Most of you guys out there who buy all these Chinese-made knives, those were made in big batches. And if you buy any American guy who's having his stuff made in China, whether it's Riot or somebody else, they're making them in several hundred to a batch, or it's not worth them doing. In my shop today, currently, if I'm running Praetorian tees, we don't run many more than 100, sometimes 200 at the most. That's it. That's what we run. Sometimes we'll do 250 if we can serve an entire 6 month or a quarter for that model. So very, very, very low volume. If you hand grind everything the way I do without fixtures and you truly freehand grind it, there's a little bit of variance on the product. There's a little bit of variance to its look, and it's hard to keep the talent lined up in front of the machines doing repetitive work like that. Doing creative work, you can keep guys doing that for years. But it's hard to keep guys doing Praetorian T, hollow ground, fucking 190 blades. One after the other after the other. It's just bad for human beings. That's why I made the transition to the production grinding. Now, the production grinder, what's interesting about it is it's really hard to production grind. Now, I've been around production grinding before. I've been in other shops to do it, and they generally do much bigger numbers because once you get it set up, you know, it may take, I've heard of it taking almost 100 blades to set up a knife. Can you imagine? Out of premium steel, heat treated, multiple grinds to be made almost perfectly flat so that you can set it up, you might run through 100. That means a setup might cost $1,000, $2,000 just in material. It's a big deal. So, and then when you do that, you want to grind thousands of things. So that would be great for the for K-bar, for their fighting knife. Grind a bunch of them, leave one machine set up to always do that, or grind the whole year's worth at once. With us, we can't really do that. I'm not a third generation company that has a big cash reserve to have inventory piled up in the back. We have to do lean and mean, just-in-time manufacturing. So when we make blades on the production grinder, it is also rarely more than 200. It's usually somewhere between 1 and 200. And you scrap a lot getting started. Now, as we've gotten better, we scrap less. But imagine, you know, so what do we get for that? What we get is, if I have lots of heavy repetitive work, I don't have to put it on human people's spirit. I don't think most people understand a lot of what I do. A lot of what I do in the decisions I make is I'm thinking about the people who have to make it. And I go, God, do I want them to have to do this? That's because I'm a worker. I'm a craftsman. I'm like, man, I wouldn't want to fucking do that. I don't want to make any one of my guys do that. Why? I don't want them to hate their job. Why? I don't want them to quit. Why? It took 2 years to get them trained. So I'm always thinking about how I could offload certain things. So you'll notice we've made some of the models shift into some flat grind versions of those knives. I've done it with the Praetorian T. I'm doing it with lots of the models. You get a couple things for that. You get the kind of tactical geometry that kind of I always wanted, but I didn't want to spend the time doing. And the hollow grind's got its positives too. So it's like a teeter-totter, and at the end of the day, would you rather get shot by a 9mm in the face or by a 45 in the face? The answer is, are you out of your fucking mind? Neither one of them. Which is better, hollow grind or flat grind? The answer is, they both have pros and cons. They're both fantastic. And every blade I've ever seen can be done just about either way. So my advice to you all out there in opinion land is don't get too opinionated. Don't be too close-minded. You know, there's always been this, if you take an anthropology class or you take a class on human morphology or anatomy class, there'll be a discussion about Darwin and the origin of species and evolution. And there was this famous statement that always is kind of a litmus test statement that gets applied to humans and apes. Because, you know, we don't come from apes. If evolution is how it happened, we didn't come from apes. We evolved from some ancient common ancestor and became who we are. So I'm not advocating, I'm just saying that's what the theory is. I'm not even saying it's wrong. I'm just saying, it could be partially right, couldn't it? There's a great anthropological statement where it says, what defines man from the ape? And they say it's laughter. Until they record a monkey laughing, they're like, well, all right, it's not laughter. Well, it's tool use. Until they watch an ape put peel a stick off and put it down in an ant mound to pull ants out. That's a fucking tool. And they have to craft it. They make it the right length. They try to come up with all these statements. And I have the best statement for what defines us from the animal kingdom. What defines us is we are ultimately adaptive, and we will fix our environment to suit our needs rather than the converse be true. The great ape goes extinct because he can't stand up and walk to another jungle. The elephant goes extinct because it doesn't understand knocking down an acacia forest in a 1,000,000-hectare region owned by a tribe makes the tribe seek revenge because the forest is how part they make their living, so they kill the elephant. The lion, apex predator in the animal kingdom, doesn't understand if you eat a water buffalo that belongs to a tribe, they will kill your whole pride of lions. He just thinks it's food. The human being is adaptive. Somebody comes along, fire, pestilence, famine, drought, some other creature wipes out the forest we live in. We pick up our shit, put it on our back, walk to another forest. We get there, hey, there's no forest. Well, we got water and we can eat these weird things on the ground. We adapt. It's adaptability. Interesting observation about humans is our adaptive nature. Think about it. When we run into humans who are not adaptive, they're kind of cranky and they're not, I don't like this gun. It's not like mine. I don't like this gun. It's not what I'm used to. You've all heard somebody like this. Oh, I set mine up this way. I guess I'm just a nugget head. I'm like, pull whatever gun in my hand you need to. How many bullets? Which way does it go? What are the ballistic properties? Where's the safety? Where's the magazine dump? How do I operate this? Boom, boom, boom. Okay, I'm good. Let's go kill some. Let's go do some shooting. Whatever needs to be done. I'm super adaptive. You talk to Navy SEALs a lot of times. They're kind of funny. They're like, what do you ask a Navy SEAL who's done, let's say you ask an experienced operator, what's your gun of choice? I've done this kind of thought experiment numerous times with many SEALs that I've talked to, and it's always like Glock 19, Glock 17. It's one of the 9mm Glocks, double stack 9mm Glock, whichever one that is. And it's the most common answer I get from any of them. You think it'd be like, no, it's got to be a staccato, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Nope. They don't care about any of that shit. They're like, I want a gun that shoots like a gun anywhere in the world. If it gets lost, I can get another one that shoots about the same way. It doesn't need much maintenance. It's a bullet delivery device. Most important thing is courage under fire, following protocol, supporting your team. I don't care about, whatever. Use this gun, that gun. But it's the number one thing I've heard is that mid-sized Glock. The guys all like that. You ask a SEAL in your presence half the time, so you carrying? If they say yes, say, what are you carrying? That's almost always what they tell you. Doesn't require a bunch of gun work. It's already kind of smooth against your body if they just stick it in their belt or carry it inside the waistband. And then you talk to some civilian shooters. Oh, I gotta have a staccato, this extension, and this, that, and da-da-da-da-da, and I gotta have that, and I need this sight, and I need this magazine port at 12 degrees, and I need this at 13 degrees, I need 2 to this, masturbatory bullshit. You talk to a real war fighter, real guys that do killing for a living, they're like, I don't know, Glock 17. It's what I carry every day. If I had to throw it away and get another one, I can get a Glock 17 anywhere in the world. It shoots the same. I love them. Oh, there's the answer, isn't it? So is that staccato person who like that nuanced $5,000 to $8,000 pistol, are they wrong? No, they're not wrong. They're just stumbling into nuance for a really high-end corner of competitive whatever shooting. It's the same thing with knives. People get very, very nuanced. I like this. It should be. Calm the fuck down. Calm down. You know what I like? My favorite kind of gun is one that shoots well. And whichever one I have a lot of ammo sitting nearby, whatever gun will shoot that makes me happy. Nothing says I love you in a gunfight like bullets, like a loaded magazine. I don't need this special gun. I don't need that. I've noticed when people start pulling the trigger, you know what I like the most? Calm head. A calm brain. Somebody who's calm under tension. I like that. Somebody whose voice doesn't go up 3 octaves and they get jumpy. I don't care if it's fucking 9mm. You know, I like 9mm. You know why? It's got more bullets, and nothing says I love you more in a gunfight than having more bullets than the other guy. You know, if you can have 17 rounds in one hand, fan-fucking-tastic. So the thing about knives, I can make the case for hollow or flat. If you ask me which is better, I will tell you they are both awesome. They both have their strengths and their weaknesses, and that's really, really good. That's calm down. So you're gonna find some Praetorians that have flat grinds on them. They're fantastic knives. I love them, and the finish is more, I would say, more consumer palatable. You don't see grind lines and a flat ground side all come together, so you see different tones and surface finishes. They have a uniformity to them, and there's nothing wrong with that. And when you make a flat grind, we bring our final edge down before we sharpen them. We bring that down thinner since it's kind of a stronger setup. And I always made up for the inherent weakness of a double hollow, since there's less metal down there, by making those knives a little bit thicker and having them be a little more chunky. So I just wanted to have a quick discussion and talk about flat versus hollow and why I do which. You know, there's humans involved, so it's not as black and white as you'd think it would be. It's just more complicated. You know, I wanted to do the ASK knives, all originally double hollow grinds. The hollow grind, I spent $500,000 on the machine. I spent another, I would say, near $500,000 getting it to not work for 18 months. The factory couldn't get it to work. Nobody get it to work. And it never worked, because the modern materials are so abrasive resistant. You have to grind them when they're in the hardened condition, that when we went to grind them, the pounds per square inch pressure required in the machine to do the grind well made the process unstable. There was no wheel, there was no speed, no feed, no RPM, no rate we could get right. Nothing worked. Factory couldn't get it to work, we couldn't get it to work. Double hollow. So we got rid of the double hollow grinder here. The factory actually took the machine back at full price, and they were like a big whoopsie. And credit to them for being classy about it, because they could have told me to pound sand. Now, the truth is I'm going to buy more machines from them in the future. Let me tell you about what it takes to flat grind. So to hollow grind, it takes a $5,000 machine, and it takes you training a guy for about, you know, a natural can pick it up in a few months and make it, you know, passable blade. That natural in a year will look back on his first 6 months of work and cringe. Your average buyer wouldn't have any idea. Flat grinding takes a giant amount of CNC knowledge, crazy amount of tooling, a lot of precision thinking, and a team to kind of do. It's more laborious. But when you get it finally right, you get the magic that I've always wanted, which is 10 blades that look really fucking close. And that's something it's hard to get, but that's a value to me. It is a value to me and to my customers to have a real consistency of form. In the past, like, oh, they're handmade, there's going to be some difference between them. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if that's what you're stuck doing, then you sell the character of that. If you're able to get to the next level, then you sell. I have that creativity and that uniqueness and that fingerprint and that kind of human touch here. And I also have that uniformity, consistency. We had an amazing amount of consistency with our knife making, with our hand grinding, because we do it. My guess is we do it more than anybody in the United States by a large margin. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fully ground big tactical knives done by hand every month. You know, 1,000 a month for years. But as the economy changes and as people's jobs changing, as people's jobs expectations are changing, as home prices have doubled, as pay changes, and you try to find the place in the market, you know, the hand ground blade is going to become a rarer and rarer thing. because people don't want to do that every day. And they can't buy a $200,000 house that now costs $525,000 on hollow grind pay. But they could at 220. So, when you see all these house prices go up, everybody feels really good about that. Like, oh, if you own a house, oh, I'm making out like a bandit. Well, you're really not, because you're not selling that to buy groceries. You got to fucking live there. So it just gives you some money on paper, right? The problem is everybody in your community now who's trying to enter into ownership and be vested in the community, it costs twice as much. Well, people's pay didn't double since COVID. My pay hasn't doubled. My pay hasn't gone up at all, frankly. My employees' pay's gone up, or they quit and go someplace else. So I'm in this market where I've got to keep all of this crazy amount of craftsmanship talent in the building, and they all want to go buy houses. They want to, buy a boat, get a Harley, have a life, go out and hit the lake on a weekend. Well, have you seen what a new house sells for now? Have you seen what an old worn-out house sells for now? It's unbelievable. And then you get interest rates at 7.5% or 8%, and you're like, holy fuck. So I have a lot of pressures on me to try and deliver a spectacular quality knife to you guys. So as material costs have more than doubled in the last 4 years, my material cost has doubled, okay? And anything that I do outside the shop has doubled. My steel prices have gone up dramatically. You add all that up, and how do I continue to bring a spectacular product without diminishing the quality? And one of the ways you do it is you find a way to get the knives ground more efficiently, and then you make compromises on your expectations. So I had a hollow flat combo grind before, now I have a flat. Is that hurting my customer? Nope. If you're that nuanced, why? Well, that's why I'm shooting the video, to explain why. There's a lot of pressures, pushing on American manufacturing. They wonder, why do we have such a homelessness problem in America? And what we have is multiple generations now who are being told homelessness is not their fault. They share no blame in it. They're victims of a bad system of capitalism. Well, if you tell somebody you're a victim, most of the time when they're down and out, they'll believe you, because it's easier to offload culpability and responsibility. Robotic grinding, not so much, Timothy. It's way more complex than you think, and the outcome is not great. The Reagan administration defunded our national mental health care kind of system we had, which emptied out a lot of mental health facilities. And there were exposés on those back in the day showing the evils and horrors happening under those roofs. So they shut them down, but there was no replacement. So the street is a place for the mentally ill. And for them, we got to do something. But a lot of these problems are everything's got a cost to it. And if you want your homes, if you love your home doubling in price over a couple of years, the outcome of that is people who are at the marginal bottom level of home ownership get pushed out into homelessness. And if you can't afford an $1,800 a month mortgage, how are you going to afford $2,400 a month for an apartment for you and your 2 kids? I mean, that's the catch-22 we're in. So people always say, oh, aren't you glad your house went up? It's worth this much. I go, no, I would have liked it to stay the same value it was at. I'd have been okay with that, because I want people in my community to be able to afford to live here. You want to know why there's homelessness in California? Take a look on Zillow. You can download the app right now and look out there, and you can see what a shitty house 10 miles from the beach costs. It'll fucking blow your mind. And you go, oh, that's why there's homelessness. It's not because capitalism's bad. It's because of the home prices. Now you want to look at that? And this is what I'm talking about. There's a cost for everything. If you over-regulate a community and make it too hard to build, you put a downward pressure on the amount of new homes that are built every year. Well, how long does that take? There aren't just millions of empty houses sitting out there free waiting for people to buy them, right? So what happens is, after a couple years of downward pressure, there's not enough housing for everybody. That's what happens. There's not enough housing. As soon as that happens, the cost goes up. As soon as that happens, marginalized people are kicked out of the system. So why is it? Well, look out in California when they go to build a house, they put up sticks and they put ribbons between them so none of the neighbors can sue that they didn't know their beautiful view is going to be blocked. They put notices up everywhere. They have hearings, the community, the tree huggers, the lizard lovers, the spotted owl people. And in the meantime, people go homeless. You put enough downward. If you make it cost $100,000 to break ground building a house, most people are already out of the game. So here I am talking about the problems of our society because they're all connected, and I'm relating it back to knife making. You see a lot of this very, very small batch boutique production knife making going on. And the reason it's happening, it's the only way I can survive. Now, there is one other way, and this is what almost everyone else has done. There are very few little makers getting production knife grinders. I'm a little maker. There are very few guys getting production knife grinding because it's expensive and hard to fucking do. And it's a heavy technology for a small company to carry. They just outsource it. I don't care if you're Microtech. I don't care who you are. Name the knife company. And they're getting, they like, oh, I can't hire any more talent. That's what Anthony told me. I can't get any more people to make them. So I had it made in China. He said it to me right on my podcast. I'm not talking shit. I'm sure if I got the owners of Benchmade, I guarantee you there are little things that are not made in the U.S. on those knives. The prices are too good. Swiss parts, maybe they're having the Swiss parts turned over in Asia. I don't know. But I wonder sometimes. But everybody's getting stuff made elsewhere. You have a couple possibilities. One is you say, I can't make this happen under this recipe. And you get outside the system and you get it made there and have them ship it in, fix number. Okay, done. I got my parts. Now let me make knives. Boom, blow them out to the market. I went the other. I said, okay, let me bring the technology in-house. I don't want to be beholden to anybody. Anyway, just thought I'd reach out, give you guys a little wherefore and whatnot on flat grinding versus hollow grinding and kind of my thoughts on it. I was never against production grinding. I sold what I was capable of, which was hollow grinding. I sold uniqueness because I couldn't make them exactly the same. You sell what you got. If I was making rubber chickens right now, I'd be trying to explain to everybody how a rubber chicken makes you happy, puts a smile on your face. You leave it under a cushion, have somebody look for a remote, and they find the rubber chicken. You pull it out of the kitchen, right, when you're making dinner. I mean, if I was making rubber chickens, I would find a way to make that fun and interesting, and I would sell what I got. Because at the end of the day, I got to get my kids through school and pay for life. Pay for life, pay for wife. Everybody's in the same scenario. Now that, and it's not being two-faced. It's like you sell what you got. What I had was me and my hands and one Burking grinder. I sold, that's what I did. I sold it. And now I've got a production grinder, and I explained to you why I got it. I explained to you how the component that it fills within the company in the greater economic sense. And hopefully it makes sense to you and you get why. And then I try to give a little bit of a maybe 1,000-foot perspective on human flexibility and adaptability. Don't be so dead set in your ways. That is all. Little message from me. Thanks for tuning in, saying hi. I love seeing all the comments from everybody down here. And I don't know. We'll just keep making knives and appreciate you guys supporting us. And hope you like what comes your way. We got a lot of neat things I'm going to be doing over the next week. A lot of talk about the Pro Series and then the OTFs. I'll have 100 of them lined up with the clips on. And we'll have those out next week. The first 100 will ship. So the clips are all done. They've been marked. They've all been custom fitted to the handles. So they have no play. They're now in tumbling, which is a 4-day process. We'll get them through assembly on Thursday, and hopefully Thursday afternoon, we'll do our first little social media post, the first tranche of those knives going out. And then the next 100 coming right behind. I have the clips all worked out. So there's a lot of, it's all finally come together, and it's all starting to ship out. Hope you guys really enjoy them. I've been carrying mine, and I'm just I'm thrilled with it. It's really, really cool knife. My cousin Steve's done an amazing job, helped develop, spearheading developing the product. He and I, I'd say, hey, I want to do this. And I give him a little sketch of the original knife. And then we do that. And I say, okay, now I want to change. And he says that. And I say, okay, now let's make that better. And he says, hey, I think here we got a little issue. And I go, no, I want to keep the blade big. Let's change this. And he's like, okay, I can do that. So there's like initial concept, and there's the initial kind of big jump through engineering. And then the next part is, how do we nuance that, troubleshoot, which we did all that since we launched the product. So basically, you guys, it's been like a crowdsourcing thing, and I really appreciate it from you all. We were crowdsourcing before crowdsourcing was unsuccessfully cool. Anyways, that's about it. You guys have a great day on this Monday here in Phoenix, Arizona. It's fucking gorgeous. It's awful here. Don't come here. You'll hate it. Greg Medford, Medford Knife, MKT USA, and ASK Knives. Go check out askknife.com. If you guys get a chance, shout out to Cody. He's been doing a great job in our digital space, making our website really great. And I don't know. Shout out to you crazy guys out in Texas who've been buying knives. This weekend it was bananas out of Texas. Good Lord. You guys are ready for the apocalypse. All right, guys, I'm out here. Oh, wait a minute. I was going to tell you about one other thing. What's it called? Oh, got a new thing called the Decimator coin. You guys are going to like this. For anybody who buys the entire Pro Series, all 10 of those knives, if they collect them over time or buy them all at once or whatever, we're going to do a Decimator coin for them. I think it's going to be pretty fun. So I'm looking forward to you guys seeing that. And we'll send those out when someone's got all 10 of the knives. If somebody buys, we just had somebody buy all 10 of the knives over the weekend. So if anybody buys them, we're going to do some sort of fun thing to make it like a set, which should be kind of cool. All right, that's it. I'm out.